Hello, this is René from Dossa and Locust, and today we're gonna check out Faceplant by Kilohearts. Faceplant was released in June or July 2019. We bought it in August last year, so we have quite a few months working with this plugin now. To start it off, I'm just gonna open up the init patch of it. The first thing you recognize, it's not gonna make any sound when you load a new instance. The reason for that is it's because the whole thing is modular. So there's not two oscillators and one noise generator there for you. You can add as many as you want. I mean, there's probably some kind of limit, but I've never reached it. And they really want you to play around with this. So there's no envelopes, no LFOs, no effects, nothing when you start it. In this section right here, you can add your generators. So you can choose between an analog oscillator, which kind of simulates the analog field. Then there's a noise generator. Then there's a sampler in there, which is really cool as well. You can just drag and drop any sample into there. And then you have the wavetable mode, where you can choose any of the pre-existing wavetables, or you can even go into detail and generate your own wavetables. You can adjust them however you want. The principle of this plugin is you can route anything how you want it. So in this case, I have this group right here, which I can snap in and out. And this oscillator is going through this output, and the output is sent to the effects lane 1. I can send it to lane 2 and 3 as well, or to the master, or to the sideband. So you can sidechain internally here in this plugin. So why all the routing right here? If I add a second group here with a square wave, I can add a second output, and I'm gonna route the square wave to effects lane 2. And notice how on the bottom here it also says send to. And I've just changed this, that the lane 1 is gonna be sent to the master. And the same with lane 2, it's gonna be sent to the master afterwards. If I now add a filter to effects lane 2 and low pass it, I can only hear the saw wave because the square wave is going through here. If I now do the same on the lane 1, I'm not hearing anything. And I open up this, and you can hear it's the square wave. And that's a really cool thing. You can add a load of plugins to any of these lanes. And this is really cool for making sounds that have a lot of depth. So you can treat the low end differently from the high end, or you can, as right here, just split your sound up to different oscillators that are affected in a whole different way. And this just opens so many new possibilities. On the bottom here are the modulators. There's like the standard stuff like envelopes, LFOs, and a random generator. You can even change how often the random value changes. So really cool. We then have MIDI information, where we can modulate according to the note we're playing. As you can see, it moves when I go up. You can also change it with pressure and velocity, so you can make velocity sensitive sounds. And here's some mathematical things where you can say two values and the maximum value is gonna be used, or the minimum, or two values are gonna be multiplied. I haven't used that, to be honest. I mean, I was always bad at math, so I'm not gonna use it now. To show you what this thing is capable of, I did a little arrangement here. It's not sounding too good, but all the sounds in there, including the drums and everything you hear, is purely Faceplant, and there's no post-processing done to it. Yeah, so the arrangement isn't that cool, but it just should show you the broad spectrum of sounds you can do in Faceplant. So for example, here I've done a kick drum, here a snare, and here are some hats. And here just the standard basses here. And some padish stuff. So some other sounds I did in Faceplant. I'm just gonna show you a few that I did. And here I used the sampler actually. So I loaded in a sample right here and added sine wave and noise to give it a bit more crunch. And do really some creative sound design right here as well with the ring modulation and the reverser. So as you can see, the range of sounds you can do in Faceplant is endless. The whole routing thing and having 3 effects lanes is really awesome. You can do sounds in there that you wouldn't be able to do in any other synth. I've made a snare drum with only 1 instance of a synth. Usually when I do snares in Serum, I need 4 or 5 instances of it because you are at the limit of oscillators and modulators and effects very fast. Here's a transient, here's our fundamental and the noises. What I could also do is I could be really exact with at which kind of frequency my snare is hitting. So if you set the harmonic to 0 and then enter a hertz value right here, the sound is gonna play at 236 hertz. So this is the frequency of the sine wave. I then modulated the frequency of the sine, so it shouldn't play statically at 236 hertz. I wanted an envelope right here to move from up to down. This is what the snare drum does. And then I could say it's gonna be go from 4% plus to this 236 hertz where the snare should stop. By the way, one really cool thing about this plugin is it has an undo button. How many times in other synths have I just changed one value randomly by mistake and I could not go back anymore? Or you just edit the LFO and I don't know, you just add some weird stuff here that you didn't want to. Here you can just undo and redo everything you did, so that's a real big plus. But it has one downside. Unfortunately, for some reason, Faceplant isn't as exact as Serum. If I show you a kick drum here in Serum, and if I now render this, I'm playing the first hit over and over again, and then I'm swapping the phase of it. In theory, the sound shouldn't play anymore because it's canceling out, right? Serum does this perfectly. No sound coming here, which means that the first oscillation is exactly the same as the last, okay? Unfortunately, this isn't the case in Faceplant. So if I render you can hear just some silent stuff in the background, and this is because the phase of the oscillator is not perfectly reset. And that's really a shame. I mean, as you could see, this snare drum I did over here, it would be just so cool to be able to make this in one plugin, especially with the fundamental and the transient. I want that every hit is calculated exactly the same. I don't want any surprises in these kind of sounds. There is a workaround, basically. I mean, you can bounce one instance of it and then loop it. And whenever you want to change it, you bounce it again. By the way, I'm aware that modulating the frequency of an oscillator in hertz values in that short amount of time over and over again is a really specific thing to do. But still, I'm not sure if it's only this exact thing that where it's misbehaving. I gotta say as well, when I got the first version of Faceplant, it was pretty different. There were quite a few more things that were bugging me, but they were fixing one after the other. And if you just see the way this plugin has changed just in the last couple of months, I'm pretty sure that this thing will be fixed very soon as well. On the other hand, I really love the playful approach of Faceplant. You can do some really crazy stuff in there, and you can modulate things with each other that you cannot do in a synth like Serum, for example. So the possibilities are really endless in this plugin, and you can really get lost in sound design fun in there. And I made sounds in there that I wouldn't have come up with any other synthesizer. It has a really mathematical approach, so if you read the manual, you should really do that when you get this plugin. For example, frequency modulation, there's not just one button there that does it for you. You gotta send the oscillator to the phase, to modulate the phase of another oscillator, because this is exactly what frequency modulation is, and they really want you to do this yourself, which is a really cool way of actually learning the sound design. And which is also cool is that they show you the waveform of what is happening. And also what you gotta say all these effects you have in there, in the synth, you get them for free as a VST. The whole Kilohearts effects suite is amazing. Like, we really use them a lot, and you get a selected few of those effects when you buy Faceplant. You get them for free. There's just certain effects like this disperser, for example, or the Faturator, that have to be bought separately. But here it's the same. You can use those as a VST and inside Faceplant. I will do a separate review of the Kilohearts effects because they are just amazing, and I just want to show you what they are capable of. But yeah, to finish with Faceplant, I would say shouts to Kilohearts, really amazing plugin. They are also really nice people. They have a Discord server where you can just discuss new feature requests and bugs with them, and they respond immediately always. So they are a really cool crew. And yeah, I just can't wait to see where they go with this synth. It's already really cool. Just a few things that we could improve here and there, but all in all, amazing plugin. Big ups. If you like this video, make sure to comment, leave us a like, and subscribe to our channel, and ring the notification bell to be notified whenever we upload a new video. If there's any specific tutorials, walkthroughs you'd like to see, leave us a comment and we will try to do a video in the future. Till then, peace.